Hello, everyone. My name is Nilo. I'm a graduate tutor at the Writing and Multiliteracy Center here at CSUCI, and today we're going to go over APA citations and style. So to start things off, let's go over what APA citations actually are. So APA stands for the American Psychological Association, and as expected, APA style is going to be most commonly used in psychology and other social sciences. One thing to note is that paraphrasing is highly encouraged in APA style. So this means taking the information you've gotten from your research and putting it in your own words. Along with the paraphrasing, there's also ways to cite the information, right, in text citations and the reference page that are unique to APA. And that is going to be the bulk of what we're going over today. So first, we're going to go over in-text citations and how we can incorporate them within the text of your paper. And then we're going to go over the reference page, which for those of you who are more used to using MLA, is basically the APA equivalent of the works cited page. So first, let's go over the differences between a parenthetical and narrative citation, which are the two main types of in-text citations that are used in APA. So first, there's a parenthetical citation, which is going to include the author's name, and we only use last names in the text in APA, mind you, and the publication date, which will be included in parentheses and placed at the end of a sentence usually. As opposed to that, we have narrative citations, where the author's name and the year in parentheses, the publication year that is, are incorporated directly into the text of your paper as part of the sentence. So let's look at a couple of practical ways that those are used. So the first example we have here is a parenthetical citation. So as you can see at the end of this sentence in the first example, we have Kohler 2016 in parentheses. So simply put, Kohler is the last name of the researcher whose information we're using here. We put a comma after their name, and then we put the publication year. In this case, it would be 2016. We include this all in the parentheses at the end of the sentence, and this is how we use parenthetical citations. Right below, we have examples of narrative citations. So in this first example of a narrative citation, we have the name Kohler, the name of the researcher, which is starting the sentence, and then we have the publication year in parentheses right after. So Kohler 2016 is actually the beginning of that sentence. In the second example, though, we can make it even more fluid, where we say in 2016, Kohler noted the dangers, et cetera, where we're simply invoking the year of publication and the author's name. And this can be your narrative citation as well. Now, as we mentioned before, paraphrasing is also an important part of APA style. So we're going to want to avoid direct quotations for the most part. Those who are more used to writing MLA will probably be thrown off because MLA uses a lot of direct quotations. But there's a reason why APA prefers paraphrasing. One is that paraphrasing allows you to summarize, right, and synthesize your information from one or more sources. So this means that you can focus on the most significant points you want to make in your paper, and you can focus on the big picture and give us the most important details in your paper, right? So by paraphrasing, you can get to the point a lot quicker, and you can give us a rundown, right? A brief rundown in one sentence as to what the big idea of your research is really trying to communicate. Paraphrasing also helps to compare and contrast relevant details between different articles of research you're using, right? So we have an example here as to how we can paraphrase. So here, Webster Stratton, 2016, again, narrative citation, described the case of a 4-year-old girl who showed an insecure attachment to her mother. In working with the family dyad, the therapist focused on increasing the mother's empathy for her child, right? So here, we're not using direct quotations, but we're communicating the biggest points from this article by paraphrasing the information and using our own words. Of course, you're going to want to include that in-text citation regardless, because this gives credit to the original author for that information. Now let's go over the references page. And this is going to be the list of references at the end of your paper. Again, if you use MLA, this is going to be the equivalent to the works cited page. And this is going to provide the information for the reader to identify your research pieces and to also retrieve them, which means going to the actual site that you found your research and reading over them. As with other styles, you're going to want the hanging indents included in the format of your reference page. All references should be listed in alphabetical order by last names of authors, and your references page should be double spaced. So let's look at a few examples. Let's look at a few examples of references in the APA style as well. So first, we have online journal articles. I know that online journal articles are kind of the bulk of sources used in a research paper. So let's go through this example. So first, you're going to include the last names and first initials of each author. After that, we have the publication year in parentheses, followed by a period. And then we have the title of the article. So note that only the first word of each part of this title is capitalized. So here on the limits of coping, only on should be capitalized. Then we have a colon, and since this is punctuation, we're starting a new phrase, but this is still part of the title. So interactions between stress and coping for inner city adolescents is the second part of that title, and only interactions is capitalized. So rule of thumb, only the first letter in the first word, or the first word after a colon, is capitalized. We have a period ending the title, and then we have the title of the entire journal itself, in this case, the Journal of Adolescent Research. Notice that everything is capitalized in the journal title, though. First letter of every proper word, so of won't be capitalized, but journal and adolescent and research will be. And then, of course, your journal article title, or your journal title, right, the name of your journal, is italicized. Follow that by a comma, and then we include the volume and issue number. Notice that the volume number is also italicized, and there is no space between the volume number and the issue number in parentheses. The issue number in parentheses will be in regular text, though. We follow that by a comma, and we end it with the page numbers of the article you read, right? So this will be the page numbers that the article took up in the journal, and that with a period. And at the very end, we include a DOI number, right? You should be able to find the DOI number on the database you're using, right, with the article. But just remember that it is crucial to include this. This helps us find the article and retrieve the website URL. Followed by references for journal articles, we have a couple of examples for lectures and PowerPoints as well. So let's start with the lectures. Again, standard format, we have the last name and first initial of each author of the source. For lectures, we not only want the publication year, but we want the exact date. Go ahead and put in brackets that these are lecture notes on resource allocation. And then we want the department and school that the lecture came from. So in this case, it would be the Department of Management Control and Information Systems, comma, and then the name of the school, University of Chile, in this point. Go ahead and add the department that you're working in, name of our school, CSUCI at the end, or more properly, California State University Channel Islands. Go ahead and add the URL for the lecture at the bottom. And to correct my previous point, only add the name of your department that you're working in specifically, and the name of our school, CSUCI, if the lecture actually did come from the school, from our school. If it's from another school and another department outside of our own school, include their name specifically, right? Just like the example includes here. Here we have a parenthetical citation and a narrative citation. This is how you're going to cite the lecture in text, again, following the standard format of the in-text citations we looked over before. For PowerPoints, we have the last name and first initials of the author, publication year in parentheses, 2018 in this case. We want the title of the presentation, and we want that to be only the first word capitalized. After the title, in brackets, we want to indicate that they are PowerPoint slides. And then let's add the Canvas information after that and the URL for the presentation. At the bottom, again, we have examples as to how we can do in-text citations for a PowerPoint presentation. So there are really good reasons as to why we do cite. First, citations give credit where credit is due when we reference words, ideas, or images that are attributed to other people, right? Other researchers, other artists, other authors, et cetera, et cetera. Citations are just standard in academic research writing, and the essays you all are writing count as academic research writing. This helps us to know where you're getting your information from, and also it builds your credibility. Not only are citations common in the academic world, but they are also common in the professional and business worlds. So I would highly suggest to get used to citing in everything you write, basically. Again, some reasons why we cite include giving credit to others, as we've been going over, and to build your credibility, so we know where your information is coming from, so we know that your information is coming from a trustworthy and reliable source. But these citations also help others find the source, so they can give it a look themselves. Or if they are curious about your source and want to go over it, well, they can read it since you've given them the information to find it. And finally, using citations helps establish the context. We get to see the bigger picture if you're using these citations, right? We can go back to your article. We know the context of the author, for example, as well, and prior research they've been doing. So there are really just a lot of good and logical reasons why we include citations in academic writing. And one of the top reasons why we cite is to avoid plagiarism. So what is plagiarism? In short, plagiarism is stealing. But here we describe it as the practice of taking someone else's work and passing them off as one's own. So this can include published writing / ideas. So this could be the books and articles you're reading, handouts, blogs, or it could be unpublished writing. So it could be your classmates' paper, even just their notes or an email they sent you. And it could be the lecture that your professor gives or the presentation they prepared for your class. And it could even include music, movies, pictures, works of art that is produced by someone else and is copyrighted, right? So if we use any of this content in your paper or in any of your academic projects without giving an attribution or a citation or providing a citation, this counts as plagiarism. And some types of plagiarism can include copying an entire paper that is someone else's, or even just copying and pasting sections of a paper into your own, but that is not your own work, or even paraphrasing without citation, right? So we know paraphrasing is important in APA because we do need to use our own words, but even though we're using our own words, we still need to give credit to the author where we found that information in the first place, because we cannot pass the ideas off as our own ideas. If we don't include the citation, we are in effect passing those ideas off as our own. The plagiarism policy here at CSUCI, put simply, is don't do it. But let's go over more detail, right? So plagiarism goes under academic dishonesty, which also includes cheating, inventing false information or citations, right? Or plagiarism, as we've gone over. It usually involves an attempt by a student to show possession of a level of knowledge or skill that he or she does not possess. So in effect, if you steal other people's information and don't give credit to them and use it in your own work, that is plagiarism. Another point of order that we should go over with CSUCI's plagiarism policy is that when a professor finds plagiarism in a student's work, it is up to them whether the student fails the course. And in most cases, well, the overwhelming majority of cases, you will be failed if you are found plagiarizing, right? So in essence, plagiarism is to be avoided at all costs. It is also just not the right thing to do, right? It is stealing, and that amounts to dishonesty on moral grounds. It's also just wrong. So please pay close attention to your citations, pay close attention to who you're giving credit to when you use another's work. Avoid plagiarism at all costs. How do we avoid plagiarism? Well, we've gone over citations, but we can also quote exact words, right? Although paraphrasing is generally recommended, right, and is the standard procedure in APA style, we can use direct quotations for definitions or more specific terminologies, explanations of things. And to do this, as you see in this example, we simply just put quotation marks around the sentence that we're quoting to indicate that it is a quote. And then we add our citation at the end, right? So American Psychological Association 2020, right? So that's the name of the publisher and the publication year. And in some direct quotations, a page number is also included, just because we're quoting directly, right? So we're getting a bit more specific. So direct quoting is another way that we can avoid plagiarism, right? But when you paraphrase words from a source, as is standard in APA, just remember, you need to include an in-text citation, whether it's a narrative citation or a parenthetical citation, to make sure that you're giving credit and you're avoiding plagiarism, and you're not passing off the idea as your own. So really, avoiding plagiarism is quite simple. You just need to include your citations, or you need to quote direct words from the work, right? What matters is you're giving credit to the original author or the original publisher of the information you're using. If you want more information about citations, in particular APA citations, or you just need a quick refresher, you can go ahead and visit our website. So that would be www.csuci.edu/WMC, and you'll be able to find our citation resources in a link on our website. And this will lead you to our quick guides, right? So we have several APA style guides, including our quick guide, which kind of gives a rundown of what we went over today, right? And it will also provide examples as to how you cite different sources, both in-text citations and references. And we have guides for other citation styles as well. As you can see, we have an MLA guide, we have a Chicago style guide, and we've also included ecology style, so ESRM. So there's a wealth of knowledge on citations on our website. If you want to get more specific about the rules of APA, you can visit the APA style guide online. So the American Psychological Association has published their own style guide, style manual, basically online. It's basically just the online version of the manual. For me personally, it's been a lifesaver. It gives, again, multiple examples as to how you should do your references and your in-text citations. It goes over the rules of formatting, for example, and even how your title page should look. And it provides example papers, both student and professional. So visiting the APA style guide online is also a big help for those of you who need a refresher or just want to make sure that their citations are correct. I hope I've given relevant information for you today, and I hope you've retained a lot of knowledge as to how we should be citing an APA. I hope this information has been helpful, and it's been a joy working with you. Thank you very much.